Hey guys, welcome back. And in this video, we are going to create our own REST APIs. And the most important thing, we are not going to use any PHP framework to do this. We'll be doing it with core PHP, and you'll get to know about all the basic details related to REST API. So, first, let's create some database tables so that we can query them and build our REST APIs. So, let me create a database called REST. Inside it, I'll create a table called users. It will have very common fields and very less fields like ID, name, and probably email. This should be enough for us. I'll make them varchar, while ID will be primary and auto increment. So as you can see, I have the table ready. Now I can jump into the PHP section. So for this one, let's create some structure first. Let me create a new folder. I'll call it API. And after that, I will need another folder which I will call config. Inside config, I'll create database.php so that I can manage all the database connection from here. So basically, it will be a class database. It will have some properties with it, private properties, host, and then DB followed by user and password. And it will also have a connection variable which I will make public so that I can access this variable from outside this class as well. For my case, host will be localhost. DB name is REST, which I just created. My username is root and my password is test. Okay, I'll create a method over here, public function, which I will call get connection. This will actually make the connection. So let me remove it and this connection null by default. I will do try catch block. So this connection equals new PDO. It will accept three parameters. The first one, let me create it, connection string equals, and this will be MySQL host equals $this host and DB name equals $this DB. Perfect. The first parameter would be this connection string and then followed by user and password. Okay. And if there is some error while establishing the database connection, I will have it in error over here. And I can say echo connection error. And I can show the error get message. Okay. Let's see if this works or not. And it should be inside config database. Okay, there is some error over here. If it's connection error, let's see. So there is still some error. What could be the reason? Connection string. Do I have the connection string? No, I don't. But why is that? Oh, actually, I'm not calling this function. So, but there should not be an error. Localhost root text. This is fine. This is perfect. What if I remove this line? There is still some error. I can remove all the method and there is no error. It means the error is here. Oh, maybe this one. Exception. Okay, fine. This should be okay now. Connection error, $error, get message. Okay, I don't have any error, but actually it's not making any connection because this method has not been called yet. I'm not going to call it from here. So let me make a new file here, which I will call users.php. Actually, this will work like a controller, a REST controller that you would probably find in some of the other frameworks like Laravel or any other frameworks. So what I'm going to do, I will treat it as a REST controller and I will be able to call all the REST APIs for the users from this file. Okay. So let me first make use of header function, which I will use to add access control origin headers, access control allow origin. For now, I'll allow every origin to be able to request these APIs, and also uh, these APIs will respond with JSON data. So I'll need to add content type as application JSON. Perfect. Then I will require the database file, which is inside config. Now I can create an instance of that database class. Let me call it db equals new database. And then create a connection with db and the function name, which is get connection. So now I should have the connection variable with me. Let's see. Oh, not in the database. It's inside API and users. So it's saying null, and that is because I need to return this connection. Perfect. So now I have the connection ready. Now I need to check which method is being invoked currently. So underscore server request method. Let's see method. Since I'm accessing it from browser, this should be get request. Perfect. It's a get request. What next? So based on the method, I'm going to do my job. Okay. So I will use switch case for method. If it is get, I will do different thing. If it is post, it has different meaning in REST APIs. If it is put, there's different meaning to it. And finally, it can be delete as well. Make sense? So for the default one, let's start with the default one. I'm not going to do anything. I'll just return with some message over here. Message, which will say invalid request. Perfect. And let's now dive into all of these requests. Let's start with the post request. If it is a post request, you all know that it's for creating a new entity, right? So I'll call create user function and I'll pass the connection variable to it. Put means it's about updating. So update user with the connection variable. Delete, obviously, it's about deleting. So delete user connection. So I have to check one thing over here in the get request, because there can be two types of get request in REST APIs. The first one would be to get the details about single user, while the other one will get list of all the users. So let me check it. If it's set ID, if there is something in get parameters as ID, it means I need to return with the data of single user. So get user with this ID and also pass the connection variable. And if there is nothing in ID, then get the list of all users with this connection ID. Okay. This logic handles everything, but I need to create all the functions for these ones. Okay. So function get user, it will have ID and connection. Let me copy it. Similarly, get users. It won't have ID. Then create user. This also don't have ID. Update user. No need for ID. Then delete user. Okay, this is good. Now let me start with the get users first, because it should be the easiest one, right? So let me prepare my query. Now, before that, let's see if it is working or not, right? So echo get single user, echo get all users, echo create new user, echo update user, and finally echo delete user. So what should be the output here? Because it's a get request and without any ID, it means it should show us get all users. Perfect. So we are good to go now. So inside this, let me prepare my query. Select asterisk from users. Order by ID descending. Okay. Then statement equals connection prepare the query. Statement execute. Then the list of users should be statement fetch all PDO fetch soak. Since I have the list of users, I can now JSON encode users. Let's see. Okay, since I don't have any users currently, it's blank and it makes perfect sense. So after this, what I can do, I can create a new user so that I can check both these things, if it is getting all users and creating a new user. All right. So for creating user, first I need to get the post data that the user is posting and create new user with that information. So data equals JSON decode file get contents, read this PHP stream, PHP input true, so that it is in array format. If insert $data name and insert $data email. We just have two fields right now. Then I can prepare the query. So the query will be insert into users name and email, and the values would be name and email. Okay, now I need to bind those parameters, but before that, let me prepare it. So connection prepare query, and then bind the variables. Statement bind param, and name should be replaced by data name. Similarly, I can copy the same line for email. Okay, and then JSON encode. Okay, I'll encode JSON encode just the message for now, and the message will say user added. But if it is not set, then I can give a message which says message invalid data, something like this. Okay, so because this is a post request, as you can see, if it is post request, then create user will be called. So I cannot test it from the browser. Okay, so there is some error. Let me check it. This is fine. This is perfect. I have the brackets corrected here. Okay, this is good. Do I have any error over here? Insert into users. name and email, values name and email. It's fine. Prepare query with name, email, and then message. Oh, that's there. The array should be closed here. Okay, perfect. So I can, as I said, I cannot test it from the browser. I will make use of Postman, which is a API testing tool. So let me create. There's an option to create REST API basics, and it will be easier for us. See, it's very easy. So I have the 4 requests ready here. So in variables, what I can do, I can change the base URL, and my base URL is localhost/rest. Okay, and save it. Then go to, let's check the get data first. So it's not info. We will have API/users. So I'm getting some error here. Let's see, it is working from browser, but why is not? Oh, because I need to make it.php. But this is not the standard of REST API. You see, it works, but this is not the standard. I need to remove this PHP and make it work with this URL. So for that purpose, I will be creating a new file, which I will call htaccess to handle the redirection of all URLs. Okay, so this file, I will do rewrite engine on and then rewrite condition. Rewrite condition, that will be request file name. If there is no file with this name, then rewrite rule would be any request that starts with API/anything. Anything means A to Z, A to Z, or 0 to 9. With any number of those characters, then API slash redirect it to API/$1.php. So now it should work. Let's see with these /users. Perfect, it's working now. Now I don't need to use .php over here. See? So it's going good now. So the list of users is working perfectly fine. Now let's check for the create users. How will I do it? /users. If I do it like this, okay, it's not. Oh, I forgot API. See, invalid data because I didn't pass any data over here. Okay, I passed name, but I didn't pass the email. So let me pass the correct name. Maybe let's try this. And email. Email would be something like this. Okay, now let's check. See, the message says user has been added. Now I can go to get data, save it, save both the request, and then check it. Oh, I still don't have any data in my database. Why is that? So what I can do here is, oh, I've actually not executed the query at all. So a statement execute. I need to execute the query. I didn't execute it. Let's add it again. User added. Let's check. See, there's a new error, and sorry, there's a new user. Okay, it's working perfectly now. Let me check with another user. So Elon Musk, elon@gmail.com. User has been added. Let's go and check this. We have now 2 users. Perfect. So add and listing is working perfectly fine. Now we can check with the single user details. So for this one, let me create the query first. Query equals select asterisk from users where ID equals ID. And and statement equals connection prepare query, and then bind the parameter. Statement bind param, the param is id and it will be id. Now execute this statement, then fetch all the, not all, fetch the single user. Statement fetch, not fetch all, pdo fetch assoc, and then finally return with the data user. So what I can do here is return the user if it is there, and if there is no user, you can return a different message which will say user not found. Let's see. So I need to duplicate this one. Let me rename it. Rename get all users. Get all users. And this one will be get single user. Get single user. And I will need to pass id equals 1. See, I get the result only for id 1. If I pass it 2, only for 2. Perfect. Let's save it. Let's save this one as well. So the 3 requests are done. Now we need to move on to update part. So for the update, I will need to get the data over here. This is same, and I'll need to check if there is data or not. So let me check with if there is id, name, and email. Then only I can proceed further. If there is no data, I'll just return with this thing. This is easy. And if there is data, let me prepare the query. Update users, set name equals name, email equals email, where id equals id. Then it should be the same thing over here. Let me bind all the parameters here. So let's start with id. id should be id, name should be name, email should be email. Perfect. And finally, execute the statement. Then echo JSON encode. What I can see here is message user updated. Okay, let's check for the update data, and it will be API/users, and I am passing everything from body. So let me change for the, okay, let's start with id 1, change the name to Mark Zuckerberg, and email to mark@gmail.com. Something like this. Let's see. Let's save it first, and then see user has been updated. How can I verify it? I can verify it from the list. See, it's been updated perfectly. And if I get user 1, it's Mark Zuckerberg. Perfect. So update is also working. Now the last one, it is delete request. So for the delete also, I will get the data, and if exit $data id, then prepare the query delete from users where id equals id. Then it should be same thing. Prepare the query and bind parameters, then execute it and respond to it. User deleted. And if there is no data, it's an invalid request. Okay, let's see with the get delete. It should be API/users, and I'm passing everything from the body. So in this, I'll pass ID as 1. So it says invalid data because I missed this thing. User deleted. So if I go to the all user list, user 1 is deleted. Perfect. So in this way, we have implemented all the REST APIs over here. And now if you want to create another REST API for something like news or posts or comments, then you can do it easily. You can create new file with, suppose you want to do it for news.php, then create a news.php and write the code for news.php over here. Just change the necessary things, like it won't be from users table, and you will be ready to go. You just request with news. Perfect. So this, I made it just to show you how you can do it. I don't need this user right now, I mean news right now. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to cover the basics of REST APIs and how to implement them using core PHP. I've provided a link in the video description below where you can find the source code for all of these files. So don't forget to subscribe us for more interesting and useful videos like this. This much for today. See you guys. Cheers.